Alright guys, this is the last homework, extended practice, or extra practice, excuse me, page 45, 11 through 15 odd. You just had to do 3 problems. They're kind of, they're not hard, but they are definitely involved. But here we go with the answers. Number 11 is 4 adults, number 13 is 60 birds, number 15 is 160 miles. So let's just get to it. If you already checked your answers before you saw this video, great. I'm just confirming what you already have. Like I said before, if you already have the answers and you got it perfectly, don't worry about the rest of this video. You can move on. But if you didn't, you had some questions, here we go. All right, this is number 11. It says complete each ratio table to solve each problem. A zoo requires that one adult accompany every 7 students that visit the zoo. How many adults must accompany 28 students? All right, so we have a zoo trip with adults and children. Or students, excuse me. And so I know the chart's right there, but in my head I'm trying to imagine the story. But okay, we have adults to students. And the ratio they give us is one adult for every 7 students, so 1 to 7. That, again, that's the relationship. For every 1 adult, you have to have 7 students. All right. Okie dokie. So the question is, if we have 28 students, how many adults do we need? All right. Now, let me help you out here. 1 adult, 2 adults, 3 adults, 4 adults. See, I love this when 1 is one of the denominators or numerators. Okay, when 1 is a number, you can just skip count to what you get, to what you need. All right. So what I did was added 1, added 1, added 1. Okay, good. Good, that part was easy. But does it work? Okay. Guys, sometimes, again, it can be that easy if you know what you're doing. If you think a little bit, it can be this easy. All right. So the answer then is we need 4 adults. Okay? We scaled up. Okay? Now think about what I just did also if you didn't want to add 1 times 2, 1 times 3, 1 times 4, 7 times 2, 7 times 3, 7 times 4. Guys, I'm not going to make this any more difficult than what it is. Sometimes it can be that easy. All right? Just skip counting is always an option. Okay? Now, I know in a previous example we added and subtracted, but you couldn't do it before. We can here because this is repeated addition. The pattern continues. And again, if you add, you got to do both, addition with both, okay? So, anyways, it really can be that easy sometimes. All right, number 13. If a hummingbird were to get all of its food from a feeder, then a 16-ounce nectar feeder could feed about 80 hummingbirds a day. How many hummingbirds would you expect to be able to feed with a 12-ounce feeder? All right. Okay. This is not going to be as easy. I'm not saying it's going to be hard, but it's not going to be as easy as this one, okay? So we have nectar. If you don't know what that is, think of it as fruit juice. Sometimes they'll take fruit and they'll put it in a blender, and what you're drinking is basically nectar. You drink the soup, the juice of it, okay? But for hummingbirds, basically, it's sugar water, okay? And number of birds fed, okay? Hashtag number of birds. Actually, it's not even the hashtag, it's just number. It used to be known as number. All right. So with 16 ounces of sugar water, you can feed 80 birds. And then the question is, well, if we have less nectar, how many birds can we feed? All right, I'm going to do something we didn't do before. I'm going to predict what the sentence is going to be for the answer. All right. So I'd be able to feed a certain amount of hummingbirds. Okay. And that's why I like a sharp pencil, because it starts blurring a little bit, but that's okay. All right. We are scaling down. We are scaling down. And what I wanted to predict also was this. If this much nectar can feed this many birds, it should make sense that this number is going to be smaller. With less nectar, you're going to be able to feed less birds, right? It should make sense to you. So if your answer comes out to 100 or 120 or 130, you know you did something wrong. Your number is going to be less than 80, all right? Now, I can't break up 16 into groups of 12 evenly. I'm going to have some leftovers. So I can have one group of 12 and then 4 left over. That's not how this works. So instead of breaking it up into groups of 12, maybe we can make it into some smaller group, okay? Can we break it up into groups of 2 or 2 groups, something like that? I notice they're both even numbers, so I'm going to scale down by 2. I'm going to make 2 groups out of 16. All right? And 2. Okay? Now, there is a bigger number you can use. You can use the GCF, but I noticed some of you aren't really as strong with your times tables as you should be. So let's just do what we can right now, and I'll show you something I didn't show you before. I'm going to show you now. All right. If I break this up into 2 groups, that means it gives me groups of 8. If I break this up into groups of 2 groups, that means I have groups of 40. All right. Okay, we're good. We're good. Now, can we go from 8 to 12? Can we scale up to that? No, we can't. You're gonna have to scale. Well, you're gonna have to scale this down again, right? Now I know in the book it only gives you 3 boxes: 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You know, if you're doing this in your notebook, you can add another box or another column. Why not? And again, we have 2 even numbers. We can divide by 2. Divide by 2. 8 broken up into 2 groups is 4. 40 broken up into 2 groups is 2 groups of 20. Right? Again, you can always go backwards and verify. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 20 times 2 is 40. 40 times 2 is 80. But I'm scaling down going this way. I'm using division. All right. Now I can see where I'm going with this. This time I'm scaling up. I'm going a bigger number. I want more than just 4. So multiply by 3. So I do the same thing at the bottom. Okay. Now, on the day of the quiz, and I might draw the ratio tables, I might not. I just might want the answer, and I'll leave that up to you to decide. I want to show you something. If you had done the greatest common factor, you could have just gone, you could have divided both by 8. If I break up 16 into 8 groups, it gives me groups of 2, I believe. Right? If I break up 80 into 8 groups, it gives me groups of 10. And you should be able to see, oh, there we go. Multiply by 6, I'm scaling up. I'm scaling up. 60. Shorter way to get the answer. Many ways to do this, guys. Seriously, whatever works for you. Now, if you notice, I didn't draw any dots this time. I think you guys are tired of the dots. I think you get the idea. All right. Number 15. Here we go. This might be the shortest video yet. You're welcome. Now, again, it's all about relationships, connections. Now, 15 doesn't have your ratio table. You're going to have to make your own. Okay? So Landon owns a hybrid SUV, which is a car that can travel 400 miles on a 15-gallon tank of gas. Determine how many miles he can travel on 6 gallons. Okay. I'm closing my eyes. I'm imagining the scene. What am I looking at? I'm looking at a car, an SUV, a pretty big car, I'm assuming. And we're talking about it can go so many miles with so many gallons of gasoline. Okay. It sounds like a classic miles per gallon situation. Okay. So miles, gallon, that's our relationship. All right. 400 miles, 6 gallons, and we want to know how far this car can go on 6 gallons. Oh, you know what? I did something very wrong here. I confused one problem with another. Let me read it again. You see if you can see what my mistake was. Landon owns a hybrid SUV that can travel 400 miles on a 15-gallon tank of gas. Well, I kind of already showed you what it was. 15-gallon tank of gas. It's how far he can travel on 6 gallons. Right? Now, again, use a little logic. With this much gallons of gas, this many gallons of gas, he can go this far. With less gas, again, it should make sense that your answer is going to be less than 400. He can't go as far than if he has a full tank, right? Okay, just keep that in mind. And I'm going to make a prediction for the answer. The question is, how many miles can he travel on 6 gallons? So I'm going to put down, he can travel so many miles, right? We don't know what the answer is yet. All right. We have so many choices about where we can go here. We can add more columns if we need to. Don't forget that. But we're definitely scaling down. We're definitely scaling down. All right. I could try and see if I can make a unit rate. But if I do that, I have to divide this by 15. Does that divide evenly into that? I don't think so. So let's keep it simple. It ends in a 0 and a 5. That means I can use a 5 as a factor. I can divide both of those by 5. Okay? 15 broken up into 5 groups gives you groups of 3. 40 divided into 5 groups means each group gets, you know what, I'll do the math real fast here. Right? How many groups of 5 can I make from 4? None. 40? Oh yeah, 8. All right, 80. Whew. Again, I scaled down because I want less. Right? Because I can't scale down from 15 to 6. Let's see what else we can do. Play with the numbers. But please do not just sit there and stare and say, I don't get it. Play with it. Divide by different numbers. You know you have to scale down. Divide by 2, see if it works. Divide by 3, see if it works. Or use the rules I just mentioned. Right? Alright, anyways. Now we go from 3 to 6. Can we make groups of 3 out of 6? And if so, how many groups? We're scaling up. I know I can make 2 groups. Because 3 times 2 is 6. I do the same thing here. What's 80 times 2? Come on now, what's 2 times 8? 16. Add a 0. And there's your answer. I know, okay, you want to see the work? Here it is. 0. Boom. And that, my friends, is the extra practice. Look, before I turn this off, keep in mind, this is all about relationships. You're either scaling down to get less or scaling up to get more. Okay? Relationships. You saw the dots. Please review the dots if you want. All right? Good luck.